Dear children, we are in the first chapter of biology in 10th standard. It is the life process. So let's see the introduction for this chapter. Let's start with the meaning of the title of the chapter. So the title is, as I told you, it is the life process. So what is meant by process? So we can come across this term often in the field of baking. So what do they mean by processing? For example, if we take a wheat flour and we want it to become a bread. Now this wheat flour needs to undergo processing. What kind of processing will we do? I'm just talking about the basic things. See, wheat flour, we will be adding water, salt and some yeast. So, and we will knead it thoroughly. And it needs to be kept for a while for fermentation, and after that we can bake it into a bread, the final product bread. So a wheat flour has to undergo all these processing before it becomes a bread, so that it can be used or eaten up by the people, right? Similarly, any kind of living organism, they have to undergo some basic functions. Let it be a higher organisms or lower organisms, right? Higher or lower organisms. So they have to do some basic functions for what? To keep themselves alive or to make a life. Okay, to lead a life, they have to undergo some kind of functions. Irrespective of the level of organization of the animals, let it be a higher or lower organism or even a microorganism, the basic things goes like this. First of all, they need energy. So where will they get energy from? They will be undergoing the process of nutrition. So what is nutrition? Taking up the food and digesting it, and later it will be broken up with the oxygen. So for receiving this oxygen, what do we need? See, these organisms, they have to respire to take this oxygen. Then this glucose, this oxygen will break the glucose molecules, from where you will be receiving the energy. So this is the basic need or requirement for any kind of organism. And these waste materials produced due to the result of digestion, it needs to be excreted, and the organism will grow in its size as well as it will increase in its number, right? So what is the meaning of increasing in number? That is the reproduction, right? So these are the basic process we come across in any kind of organism, let it be a microorganism or plants, lower level of animals or even higher level of animals. These are the basic things, and based upon the levels of organization of animals, they have their own highly specified organs and organ systems which will help them to perform all these kinds of functions. So the chapter begins with the difference between living and non-living thing. How can we tell them if some organism is living or non-living? See, they have given some examples here, like if you see a dog running or cow chewing a cow cud, or a man shouting loudly on the street. So by this, these are very visible changes or movements we see with our own naked eyes, so that we can easily recognize that a particular organism is alive. But But what if these organisms are sleeping or they are taking rest? Yeah, still we can identify them. If they are bigger organism, we can see them, their chest moving. Okay, so from these we can tell easily that these organisms are. See, I have taken few examples about what are the basic things a living organism will undergo. See, so first one is movement, second one is nutrition, respiring or breathing in higher organisms, and growth, reproduction, and senses, isn't it? So here it is a plant, but still it responds to the external stimulus. And we can easily identify a non-living thing. So they won't be showing any kind of these functions or these factors. So we know that here we see an animated stone. So a force is required for any kind of non-living thing to lead its life, to show itself as living. Our next topic is, how can we tell if a plant is living or non-living? Is it enough if it is just green? We can even paint something in green, and we can also come across those plants which are not in green color, isn't it? Some will have some orange or yellowish colors and all. We can come across the plants, the leaves of the plants. So here we see that the plants exhibit certain kind of movements which will be either growth related or not, okay, which is not related to its growth. So we can come across two types of movement. So first one is, see, there is a spelling mistake here, sorry. So this tropic movement, it is growth dependent, okay, and it is very slow. So the overall growth of the plant can be taken as the example for the tropic movement. So the growth of plant itself is the overall growth of plant itself is an example for tropic movement, because they grow only in response to the availability of sunlight and water. And we have seen about the example that if plant is kept in somewhere else where it cannot get sufficient amount of sunlight, what will it do? It will just bend to that particular area from where it can get the enough sunlight. Similarly, and when we come about when we talk about the roots of the plant, the desert plants, they have longer roots because they reach out to the water, so they move towards the direction of what they need, okay, but it is very slow and it is invisible, okay. The growth of plant, it never takes within a short time. So the tropic movement is growth dependent and it is very slow. But when it comes to the nastic movement of the plants, here we can see it as growth independent. It is not something related to growth, right? And it is a kind of immediate action. And just now I showed you the reaction of a touch me not plant. So the reaction is immediate. If someone touches the plant, it will drop its leaves immediately. It is due to turgor pressure, right? So here also we can see the carnivorous plant. What is it doing? It is taking up its prey. So once the prey touches the entire length of the organ, so the plant just closes or it encloses the animal, right? So this is a kind of immediate action. Our next concept is molecular movement, and still now till now we saw about visible movements in animals and plants, but now we are going to see about the molecular movement. So here this molecular movement, see it refers to the movement of molecules. So when it comes to biology, it refers to the different kinds of biomolecules. It refers to different kinds of biomolecules which are produced due to the result of various metabolism inside our body. For example, what are the different kinds of metabolism? For example, if it is digestion, see the end products produced after digestion, right? So what are they? So here we can see the end products of digestion are, so if we eat carbohydrate, the end product will be glucose. If we eat fat, the end product will be fatty acid and glycerol. And if we eat protein, the end product will be, children, we saw about different types of movements, especially the visible movements in plants and animals. Now we are going to see about the molecular movements. So here it refers to the, as per the name, movement of molecules. And when it comes to the biology, we see about the movement of biomolecules inside the animal or organism's body, which are produced due to the result of various metabolism. So what is a metabolism? Metabolism means those chemical reactions which occurs inside our body. So for example, if you are eating carbohydrate, what is the end product of carbohydrate? The end product of carbohydrate is glucose. So because only glucose can be easily transported through our blood cells and blood, and it can be easily taken up by the human cells. Okay. Similarly, at the end of different functions done by the cells, waste products will be produced. So if a cell takes up the oxygen, it will produce the waste molecule carbon dioxide. So these carbon dioxide and all other some kind of nitrogenous waste, etc., they need to be removed. Okay, they need to be removed from our body, otherwise they will produce dangerous effects in our body. So here we can see that the blood will be removing all these kinds of waste materials from each and every cell.